Episode 213, Glyphosate, the gut and a surprising no-dig benefit. This is the World Organic News for the week ending 11th of May 2020. John Moore reporting. Decarbonise the air, recarbonise the soil. There's a bit of a follow-on from last week when I recommended the resources at NCAT ATRA, which are now free to download. Link in these show notes too. I listened to their podcast this week. I listen to most of theirs unless the episode revolves around US tax law or something equally not relevant to me. This episode, entitled Glyphosate Contamination, was amazingly detailed while being specific to certain producers. Two things leapt out as I listened. I'll just give a little background. The episode began discussing how some Montana organic durum wheat producers had their crops rejected in Italy for having more than 10 parts per million of glyphosate. That such a small fraction can be tested for is impressive. It also ensures the quality of organic wheat in Italy at least. So these growers sought help and the scientists went to work. After eliminating everything that wasn't the cause, they were left with the only thing it could be. Now I hope you're sitting down for this, because luckily enough I was. The source of the glyphosate was the rain. Let that sink in. The rain. Turned out this was the case in only 2 counties of Montana, but it also meant farmers in those counties lost their organic certification. I'd urge you to listen to the entire episode. There's so much more in there. The way the rain was tracked down as the source and so on. But there's another point that came out of that podcast as well that I'd like to highlight. And this is to do with the nature of glyphosate and its effect upon animals. As you may recall from previous episodes of this podcast, Monsanto's argument that Roundup was safe for humans, the active ingredient in Roundup is the chemical glyphosate, was that it only worked on the Shikimate pathways in plants. Animals don't have this physiological pathway, ipso facto, animals couldn't be affected by the chemical. Now, one of the 4 participants in the ATRA podcast pointed out glyphosate has antibiotic properties. This has the effect of killing off, or at the very least damaging, the gut microbiome. And as we know from other episodes, the gut microbiome appears to be connected to the immune system, especially in humans. So the possibility at the very least exists for glyphosate to be detrimental to animal health, which of course includes our species of bipedal ape. The point this particular academic made was the effect of glyphosate upon the microbiome was to mimic wheat intolerance. This means in reality individuals suffering from wheat intolerance. Given the marketing and exponential growth in the sales and use of glyphosate, especially after it came off patent during the last 20 to 30 years, it is not surprising that we have seen a rise in wheat intolerance during the same period. I understand correlation doesn't mean causation, but it's certainly an area that needs to be investigated. Equally, apparently, it only takes about 4 weeks or thereabouts to clear the body of glyphosate with careful food selection. This evidence seems to be that the apparent wheat intolerances leave with the glyphosate. Now, I'd just like to point out that I'm not a medical practitioner and I'm not diagnosing nor prescribing. I am reporting. Equally, I'm not suggesting celiac disease is caused by glyphosate. Clearly, it has a genetic origin. What I am saying is that we all need to be wary of what we eat, and that any other niggling points of upset should be discussed with a medical practitioner, a qualified one at that. As I said, there's lots more in this ATRA podcast, and I highly recommend you have a listen. Now to the no-dig surprise, and this comes from the No-Till Market Garden podcast, the episode Gabe Brown, Brown's Ranch. And it comes with a tale of regenerative agriculture spread over 5,000 acres. That's 2,000 hectares in the new money. Anyway, this property is run by just 4 people and produces beef, lamb, turkeys, chooks, eggs and cereals. The cereals are all grown using the no-till method. All of the animals are grazed and moved regeneratively. And Gabe is a wonderful guest, full of wit and wisdom. And he suggests we all use the climate that we have, where we are, to our advantage. The example he cites is cover crops. One of the difficulties with cover crops in cereal production, in a no-till context, is to achieve a full kill of the intermediate crop so it doesn't interfere with the next one in the rotation. Normally this is done by ploughing, for those that use the plough. And Gabe farms in North Dakota, and this part of the world is known for its brutal winters and snow on the ground. So Gabe plants his cover crop with the full expectation that the winters will achieve this kill-off for him. On the odd occasion it doesn't, he adjusts his rotation and feeds off the cover crop to his stock. It's all about being adaptive to what's in front of him rather than forcing the plan onto the conditions. Now, he certainly sounded a fairly stress-free individual, so I'm guessing this adaptability has kept him sane, working with nature rather than attempting to force nature to his desired outcome. Now, this insight alone would have been enough to justify listening, but wait, there's more. He's actually run some tests and had food analysed for nutrient density. So listen carefully, and this is remarkable. He tested no-till cereals against chemically produced cereals and against conventional, that is, plough-driven organic cereals. The chemical and the organic cereals returned about the same nutrient levels. The organic no-till cereals returned more nutrient density and a more complex nutrient profile. This he put down to the biological diversity of the no-till soil. Soil that hadn't seen a plough in over 30 years. So we can turn this all around very quickly. 30 years is just a generation, remember. And I suspect if there's more people doing it, we'll get to that point much more quickly. But this data is remarkable and yet inspiring, confirming the benefits of working with 3 billion years of evolution rather than finding a, in inverted commas, better way. And while Gabe farms across 2,000 hectares, we can practice no-till or no-dig wherever we are. Imagine a world where all the vegetables were produced this way. Imagine a world where all the cereals were produced this way, and meat arrived from regeneratively grazed animals of all sorts to complete the diet. Just imagine a baseline of health we could build not just for ourselves but for the entire biosphere. So as I've mentioned in the past couple of episodes, there's a link to a Udemy course in the show notes entitled Growing a No-Dig Garden, if you'd like some more formal assistance or you know someone that could benefit from this. You can also send people to episode 207 where I discuss growing a quick response garden to get yours happening swiftly, because who knows how long this lockdown nonsense will carry on, particularly if a second wave of infection hits the world. Remember, in this unusual time, if we put in the groundwork now, we can all decarbonise the air, recarbonise the soil. Thank you all for listening, and I'll be back next week.